Hey, prospective graduate students. My name is Shaun Howe. I recently graduated actually from the department with my master's last May, and I'm still in the area, which is awesome. I live in DC now, and I'm working for a contractor doing atmospheric modeling, which is kind of one of the great things about this department is that there's so many things kind of nearby within the atmospheric science, earth science, like climate community. Which is great. And so when I was a grad student at UMD, I was fairly involved. I was a part of a lot of the outreach for the department, and then communicating with the prospective graduate students. And so this was kind of nice to be able to do this via video. I was the president of our Meto Grads Association, where we had this group within the atmospheric science for the grad students called Meto Grads, and it was really, we would get together and try to have our voices be heard by the department, and then do different things. Like we would have different gatherings, like happy hours and stuff like that, and tailgates for football games, which was kind of nice. So to create that environment for the grad students to kind of be able to hang out outside of classes and stuff. And so that was a cool part of the department that I was a part of when I was there. I also TA'd for a lot of my time at Maryland, which is also another awesome opportunity that you can have. And then I worked on a bunch of different research projects. So just that's the overall synopsis, and I'll try to hit on a bunch of those different things and how kind of you can work your way into the department through doing those different things. So one, the department has pretty awesome research opportunities for students. There's such a wide variety of research that's done within the department. So specifically, I was working with Dr. Ning Zhang, and I was working on kind of CO2 uptake, looking at CO2 uptake in the Baltimore-Washington region to look at, okay, we're emitting this much from cars and power plants, but we're trying to understand how much the biosphere, how much the plants in the area were taking up that CO2. So that was kind of a really cool project. I came in with an atmospheric science background, but that was kind of different from what I was used to. That research was different from what I was used to doing in undergrad. So that was kind of cool to be able to jump in and do that different research like that. But there's a large atmospheric chemistry focus within the department, and there's some people doing climate dynamics, looking more at atmospheric modeling. There's people also getting into kind of the data assimilation side, so more of the dynamic side and the atmospheric modeling stuff. But the other reason why the research is so great is because we're so close to so many of these big centers. Like just 10 minutes up the road from the University of Maryland is NASA Goddard, which is huge. And that's a great opportunity to be able to, as a grad student, interface with people there and actually work with the scientists there. They're grad students in the department doing their research with NASA. And so that's a great opportunity to be able to get that ability to work with those researchers while you're a grad student. It's awesome. It opens so many doors. And then in College Park, there's a National Center for Weather and Climate Prediction, which is through NOAA, which is great. That students also work there and end up there after school. I actually worked with NIST up in Gaithersburg, National Institute of Standards and Technology. And so my project was interesting because we were doing research with low-cost CO2 sensors and to see if we can put them in a large enough network around DC that we can interdisperse them with high-quality sensors to get a better idea of CO2 uptake. So that was cool. I was able to go work with the researchers in a lab. I didn't really have that much hands-on experience before I came to Maryland. I was able to work in a lab and actually build sensors while doing the coding side behind it and the research side behind it, which is a really great opportunity that I really wouldn't have been able to do unless I came to the University of Maryland. So there's great opportunities like that. And then now that I graduated, I'm working as a contractor for the Army doing atmospheric modeling. And so that was a wonderful opportunity, especially right when I graduated. I was able to apply to jobs and interview right down the road. And now I'm working actually in Arlington, but still living in the area, and it was all so close. There's so many jobs around. So this is a really great area, and that's really what drew me here to begin with, was the fact that there was so many opportunities to work within the government, to work as a contractor, to work in private industry, because this is really a hotbed for people working within the atmospheric science community. It's really great. And then there's also some great opportunities within the department doing research, like kind of going back to that. There's conferences you can go to. We tend to send a lot of students to conferences, primarily AGU and the AMS annual meeting. And the department is great about sending students. They will fund students to go if it's your first time being funded through the department, which is really cool. So that's an awesome kind of opportunity that the department pushes you to go. But also all the advisors and all of the professors will push you to go to conferences and kind of have you attend those things. And I think Dee Dee might have mentioned this in her video, but you can, through the department, we actually have the opportunity to go to some smaller conferences as well, like the American Meteorological Society does a Washington Forum in DC, which is more of a close-knit community and a smaller group. And so that was the best conference I'd actually ever attended. I attended 2 years in a row, and that was great because it was smaller and you got to really get to know some people and get to speak with people in the community, and that was great. And that was an opportunity that we really only get because we're so close to Washington, D.C. It's great. And so going a little bit more into the coursework and everything, so looking at my notes. So the classes are great. It's kind of cool because, so I came in with an atmospheric science background, but I would say it's pretty evenly split between atmospheric science, or students coming in with a background in either atmospheric science or meteorology, and students with a completely different background. So it's really great. So if that's something that you're kind of worried about, is say, okay, I don't have an atmospheric science background, will I do well in this department? You shouldn't worry about that because the classes really are meant to be giving you that broad scope of atmospheric science. And even me as an atmospheric scientist coming in, I'd taken some similar classes in undergrad, but they were really learning them at the graduate level. You're expanding upon that knowledge that you learned as an undergraduate. So not to say that you're going to come in and say, if you were an atmospheric scientist, come in and go, oh, okay, these classes are easy. You're really expanding upon that knowledge. But if you don't have that base knowledge, the classes are still great to kind of teach you, even if you haven't been within that realm before. But I would say it's probably an even split between students who come in with an atmospheric science or meteorology background and without. And so the first year, you'll do 3 classes your first semester, 3 classes your second semester, and then tend to do then 2 and 2 after that. That's how I did mine. And sometimes you can split it up a little differently depending on if you're coming in with some prior coursework or if you're teaching as well. So that's another opportunity I'll touch on a little bit, is becoming a teaching assistant. I was a teaching assistant my first year. Actually, most of my time I was at Maryland. Now I'm thinking about it. My first year I was a teaching assistant, and the second year I kind of agreed to be a teaching assistant because I liked it a lot. And then after that, I volunteered one more semester. And so that was an awesome opportunity, especially like if you're thinking about becoming a professor or want to get into teaching. That's a really awesome opportunity to be able to get to do that as a graduate student. So I came in and I didn't want to teach. I didn't think I wanted to become a teacher. And so when I accepted to do some teaching, I was like, you know what, I'll just try it and see how it goes because that's a possible career path of mine. And when I did it, I actually really liked it. I didn't think I was going to. I just decided to try it, and I really enjoyed it. And then after my first year, I decided to do it because I liked it that much. And so that's really the awesome thing, is that you can kind of, and even if you don't come in with a teaching assistantship, you can still kind of get that opportunity by, say, working with your advisor who's teaching a class. And that was kind of another opportunity for me, as I helped to teach atmospheric thermodynamics for the undergrads because my advisor was teaching it. And he let me actually go in and lead some lectures, which was kind of cool to be able to get that kind of opportunity to do that when you're still in graduate school, which was really great. And so, okay, what else do I have on my list here? Yeah, so those are the kind of the generics about the department. I think I listened to some of the other videos pretty quickly about the students kind of hit in on what you're doing as a graduate student, like going to the different seminars each week and stuff like that, kind of explaining more of that stuff. Living off campus. So my first year I lived, or my entire time I lived in College Park, but I didn't live in like grad student housing. And so the way I kind of set that up was there's an off-campus housing page through UMD, which is great. So you can log into that, create an account, and you can look for other people who are also looking for housing. And that was a great opportunity. I found my first year roommates in there. They were all geology graduate students who were all just starting. And so I found them because I didn't know anyone prior to coming to the University of Maryland, so that was kind of a great way to jump in and meet those people. I was able to Skype with them beforehand and get to know them, which is great. And there's plenty of off-campus housing if you're just looking around on Craigslist or even on the off-campus housing page. And there also is housing through the university as well. I don't know too much about that system, but there is housing through, like, graduate student housing through the university. And then just overall, I mean, the area is pretty great. I mean, you're really close to DC. You can just hop on the metro and be in DC within like 15 minutes. And you can go be in the city, and you're not too far from Baltimore as well. But then you could also kind of like drive out Western Maryland or even to Northern Virginia and get to do some really cool hikes. So there's just a lot of opportunity to do things, especially when you're near a city like that. There's really just a lot of cool different things that you can do within the city, a lot of intramural sports and stuff like that. And then even outside of the university, but then there's also intramurals within the university, which is kind of cool. We did some intramural football and stuff with some other graduate students, which was fun. So there's plenty of things to keep you busy in this area, which is really great. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, so if you have any questions, I guess specifically if you see this video and you think, wow, I want to ask this guy more questions, you can contact Tammy. Has my contact information. And good luck with your decision. I hope you guys come to University of Maryland.